What's up, Sushi Squad? We back in with more Genshin Impact, and today we're going to be talking about the patch 1.4. I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible, so I'm not going to give you every single little detail, just the important things like, you know, what we can currently do in the game. Which, as of version 1.4, the funny thing is that there's actually nothing you can do in this version of the game that you couldn't do previously. I mean, they have the new Hangouts quest, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a go hang out with these characters. It's kind of a weird dating sim thing with multiple endings, which I guess is neat, just because I'll be able to take Bennett out and make him, you know, pissed off or something like that. I don't know. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Like, we're not going to be able to access the Windbloom Festival, the Abyss Herald, the new boss and world quest and stuff like that, which we will get into today, but generally that stuff is going to end up showing up on the 19th and later, so keep that in mind. But the biggest things that are going to affect us right now in the game is that there's the new battle pass, so that's something worth grinding. There's going to end up being the Venti Banner is rerunning through the game, and there is also going to be a weapon banner that includes a couple new 4-star weapons, but more importantly a new 5-star bow, and this is going to end up being tailor-made for Venti. That is just absolutely powerful. It should end up actually working on Ganyu and other bow users very, very well as well, you know. But with Venti being the character that's going on, we've actually got a new test run, so we can end up actually trying the character out. And I'll leave that to your own discretion to end up trying the character out, because otherwise, I mean, Venti basically has an ultimate ability where he's just a giant vacuum cleaner, and it's really, really good, really powerful. The Abyss has ended up changing over. There's more daily login stuff to get more Prima Gems, and then again, generally there's going to be the Hangout stuff. Now, the other really important things is that as far as Condensed Resin is concerned, that cap has actually been increased from 3 to 5, so that's actually really, really cool. And then on top of that, we've also got the shop has cycled over, so we can end up buying a bunch of things out of the Paimon shop if you end up having any of the currency. And then most important, there is going to end up being a option to decrease your world level. So I'm at world level 8, and I could decrease that to 7, and then I would have to wait a 24-hour period before I could decrease it again. Now, they don't really say specifically, you know, how far you can end up decreasing the world level, but you end up unlocking the ability to do so, I think at world level 5 or something like that. So I'm assuming that I would be able to decrease my world level to 5, but I would have to wait 24 hours between each interval of lowering the world level. And then based on the way that they explain it in the patch notes, I at any point could reset to my normal world level without having to go back up from 5. You know what I mean? I could be wrong about that, but it's just kind of the way that they end up wording it in the patch notes, okay? So that pretty much ends up covering all of the stuff in game as of right now. Of course, all of the events that are going to be showing up are going to end up showing up at later dates and going to be really, really cool and interesting. But we'll get into those in a moment. Oh, I should also mention, annoyingly enough, you know how your characters have idle chatter and you can't turn them off and shut them up? Well, now it's no longer client side. So if I had somebody else in my world, they could hear Zhongli talk about how Osmanthus wine, and it's no, just no, miHoYo, please. So because of the amount of time that was, because of the amount of downtime that we had for the server, because of the patch, we've actually got a compensation of 600 Prima Gems. So if you are Adventure Rank 5 and already logged in well before this update, log in, get a bunch of Prima Gems so you can end up getting some free wishes. There's also going to end up being a new 4-star character, Rosaria, but she's not currently in the game right now. So we've got the Venti banner for like 20 days or something like that, and then afterwards we're going to have the Childe Tartaglia banner, which is going to be another repeated banner, but with it we're going to end up having the 4-star character, Rosaria. Rosaria is going to be a polearm cryo user, and I'm just using the trailer for the version 1.4 just to show her off. Her elemental skill is basically going to dash her behind an enemy and cast a cryo sweep as well, so it's going to tag the enemies with cryo, and then that's basically the cryo sweep right there. And then her ultimate ability is going to be that kick that she just did, where she's going to end up throwing down her spear straight into the ground, so you can just barely see it as it goes to the next scene. Her throwing her spear down, which ultimately is right here and is going to end up having a area of effect that's going to constantly pulsate with cryo. So the Windbloom Festival event is actually the one that's going to end up starting on the 19th, which again, they end up showing in the 1.4 trailer, which I'll, of course, have links in the description to it. But you can see they ended up just making Mondstadt generally look really, really pretty, really vibrant. There's going to end up apparently being this weird portal that takes you to an event area, you know, mobile runner game, dodging blocks and stuff like that. And it generally looks like it's going to end up being a lot of fun. And based on what the devs ended up having the 1.4 live stream, and they ended up showing that you can have at least 2 people participate in these events. So you can end up doing them in co-op with your friends. I don't know if you can have more than 2 people at a time. But there's also going to end up being this lyre event, so it's kind of a rhythm game thing, right? And ultimately, you're going to end up winning this instrument so that you can end up actually using it on your character. And yes, you can use it in co-op to end up constructing songs and stuff. It actually does end up having like all the different notes, notations and keys and stuff, which is pretty interesting. Just to go in a little bit more detail, the Hangout event that's live in the game right now is going to kind of look like this, where you're actually taking these characters out, hanging out with them, doing different dialogue choices that are going to end up giving you a bunch of different endings and stuff. So I guess try to get them all. I don't know. I'm going to have fun doing streams of them just because I'm going to be making fun of them the whole time. There's also going to end up being a bunch of Windbloom, like kind of a random events or quests that are going to end up showing up, but you can see that they're going to end up showing up on specific dates. So 19th, 22nd, 25th, 28th, and so on and so forth. And all of those are going to be available until next month on the 5th, because on the 5th, is when the new Archon Quest is going to show up, if I'm understanding correctly. And the new Archon Quest is actually what I'm most excited about, which is kind of weird because they ended up actually tweeting out about 1.4 and saying that the Dainsleif quest line and the Archon quest line was going to be available in 1.4 as it ended up going live. But I guess there must have been a translation issue or something, because technically it's in the game's code, but it isn't actually live right now. So if we go back to the 1.4 trailer, I myself and many others are really excited about this. So this is actually going to end up being the Archon Quest, which is going to pit us against a new elite mob, which, based on the way that they've explained it and talked about this creature, I think it's just going to end up becoming a normal enemy at a further date. But as of right now, it's going to be specifically tied to this quest line. And I mean, look at all this stuff. This is really cool. Even that in the background is a reversed statue of the Seven, so we don't know whether or not it's trying to be just some type of weird sacrilegious thing, because, you know, upside down cross, whatever. But you can see that Traveler's sister is involved. We know that Dainsleif is going to end up having an appearance again. That's the Abyss Herald. That is the quest line for Dainsleif. Actually ended up having him searching for that Abyss Herald. We also know that this boss or elite monster is the Wicked Torrents version, so it actually is the water version of this enemy. So think of it as the same as an Abyss Mage, where it's going to end up having one of every element that it can end up having. I'm assuming that it's just going to end up being a new enemy type that'll be in a later portion of the, of the game. Maybe even they're waiting until Inazuma comes out to end up throwing this more powerful enemy at us. I would think it would be really cool, just the fact that they call it an elite monster, if it's just something that you fight out in the open world. But I don't know if they end up referring to their world bosses as elite monsters, because if they do, then it could just be that this is going to end up being a new world boss to end up grinding for materials, but who knows? There's going to be a bunch of new gadgets, new recipes, new name cards, new achievements. They've also done some huge quality of life changes to the Spiral Abyss, making it so that you can just restart mid-round, leave in the middle of it and come back, and generally seems to be a lot better, which is really cool. For myself personally, I don't really care about Spiral Abyss that much, but I do appreciate the fact that they are making it a little bit more manageable. And that's pretty much going to do it for the patch notes. There are a couple other things that you guys can end up going through, all the fine details and everything. Again, I'll link to the patch notes in the description, but that I felt was the most important things that needed to be shared. I should also mention, if you haven't been doing it already, there is the daily check-in event going on right now. It's a web event, so you gotta remember to keep logging in on a website in order to end up getting all these items out of it. You don't really get the most items out of it, but there is a couple prima gems. There's also going to end up being the Wanmin welcome event, which is yet again another event that you can end up logging in every day and doing. But by the looks of this, despite the fact that I'm doing this on a website, it looks like it's actually specifically designed for mobile. Anyways, I think that's pretty much going to cover it. So hopefully you ended up finding this video helpful. If you did, smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want, support the channel. We got new merch, and have yourselves a fantastic day. Sayonara and stay epic, gamers.